finally arrive at our 7th and final Hamlet, the Royal Shakespeare Company's production directed by Gregory Doran in 2009. We had very good reasons for making this our first review, so let's dig right in. The overall aesthetic is very slick, it's theatrical, but not too grandiose for the screen. The mirror motif is effective, and while the surveillance theme is a little hit and miss, on the whole it balances out to be a very good thing. The costumes are sleek and modern and very pretty.
I've mentioned this before, but Doran does incorporate a bit of the surveillance aesthetic rather nicely.
Now I'm alone.
Not only does this help with the soliloquy, but the broken camera itself is used later when Claudius and Polonius ponder Hamlet's implied insanity.
Madness in great ones must not unwatched go.
The minor characters were great. Horatio is fantastic, a real solid balance to the flighty Hamlet. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are really struggling and failing to keep up with Hamlet in a good way. The characters sort of do that, and they're very effective at it. And poor Osric, oh my god. One particularly great moment in this Hamlet is where this poor little toady just gets eviscerated by the Prince of Denmark.
3 of the carriages in Faith are very dear to fancy, very responsive to the hilts. Most delicate carriages and of a very liberal conceit.
What call you the carriages?
And the fact that his smile makes you want to forswear smiling for the rest of your life only makes it all the more enjoyable. I love that guy to death. The players also very strong and hilarious. The gravedigger also pretty good. Much love here to the supporting players.
My favorite part involving characters is that Fortinbras actually is in this movie.
Go, Captain! When we greet the Danish king, tell him to buy his license. Fortinbras craves the conveyance of a promised march over his kingdom.
I'll do so, my lord.
Go quickly on!
We never see him again, and that's okay. He gives a short introduction, leaves, and doesn't come back in the end to confuse the heck out of everyone. And in this cut of the script, that is all he needs to do.
For the record, I think it is odd to sort of dangle Fortinbras out there for us and then not have him come back. He does sort of have to bookend the action. He's mentioned in the beginning, he pops up in the middle, he ends everything. But he's not terrible. I don't feel too strongly one way or another about him. And a lot of the other major players are a little take it or leave it for me. The entire Polonius family and Gertrude rate this for me. You know, they're cute, they're great, they've got lots of little great moments. Polonius really being a sweetheart to Laertes before he heads off to France. Super adorable. But I'm not really up in arms one way or another about them. I like them, I'm not writing home about them either.
Give every man thy ear, but few thy voice. Take each man's censure, but reserve thine judgment.
Special mention must go to Edward Bennett, who plays Laertes. David Tennant is not an easy actor to keep up with, but he does an impressive job being Hamlet's foil. Although sadly the amount of leather and black that they made his character wear to make him seem badass just doesn't work. It just makes Laertes look like he's trying too hard. Sorry, dude.
Patrick Stewart is a much better Claudius here than he was in the 1980 movie with Jacobi, I will say that. He is still a tiny bit stoic for me. Claudius, I think, should be a little less able to control himself. After all, a man with self-control wouldn't fall apart at a play. Of course, they don't really show him falling apart so much, but the reactions from everybody else seem a little over the top due to his calm. Claudius does need to have enough presence of mind to use a slow method of killing like poison, but in many instances he is a hot-blooded man, and I didn't really see too much of that. But all things considered, he is still great and has a kingly command. As the ghost, Patrick Stewart is just pure awesome.
Adieu. Adieu, Hamlet.
Also, good job by the director with this double cast implying that Claudius and his brother were identical twins. It makes Gertrude's agreement to get married shortly after the king's death a bit more plausible, since she literally sees a lot of her former husband in Claudius, as well as informs a bit of Hamlet's mental state, since just looking at Claudius makes him see both his father and his murderer all at once.
And I think that they don't necessarily need to be identical twins there, just brothers, but the choice certainly does highlight the similarities between the characters. And now we talk about Bartemius Crouch Jr. himself, David Tennant, and his portrayal of Hamlet.
Who calls me villain?
It's a dead theater! It's a dead theater! Run for your life! Run for your life! Save the check!
He is so manic. He makes Robin Williams look like Christopher Walken, for real. He is like a chipmunk on crack, and it is amazingly effective. With the exception of a few moments where it's a little hard to connect emotionally, seeing a bouncing off walls Hamlet creates a really fun world. The other characters seem to be at his mercy, and he himself is able to play off the natural wit of the character to hilarious effect.
When Roscius was an actor in Rome...
The actors are come hither, my lord.
Tennant's mania makes the humor of the play come alive and the madness really get rough. He's not intense like Campbell Scott was, but he does make this work.
This is why a lot of Doctor Who fangirls were borderline mourning when he left the role. He makes every scene that he's in seem exciting. Whether it's comedic or dramatic, there's an almost tangible energy in all of David Tennant's performances, and it's in no short supply here. Also, I want that shirt. It looks pretty awesome.
And now, the grand finale. There is a lot of weird crap going on here, including a few small moments that are kind of hilarious but also kind of jarring and can take you out of the scene at hand. It does end on a very emotional moment though, so it did suck me back in after kind of destroying my suspension of disbelief, which is good.
It doesn't help that all the Hamlet adaptations we've seen so far have one common denominator. Elsinore's security sucks. Seriously, guys. Your royalty is dropping like flies and the crown prince is trying to kill your king. Do something! As Cassius mentioned, this moment is saved by Peter DeJersey's brilliant acting. That and the fact that Fortinbras doesn't come out of nowhere afterwards, preserving the drama of this tragic moment until all fades to black.
I disagree with Sharky on this, but the lack of Fortinbras here does kind of hurt a little bit, like I said. Not too much, but a bit. He does help seal off the play, and especially if he has been a presence in the past, it would make sense. But having Horatio and the play does work best here, where Horatio is awesome.
Good night, sweet prince. And flights of angels sing thee to thy rest.
This version is bullshit. When David Tennant dies, he doesn't regenerate into Matt Smith or Brendan Gleeson.
I vote for this as a must-see version of Hamlet. It's engaging and a whole hell of a lot of fun. It is fully Tennant's show, which means that you will have a good time.
You have two of the most recognizable actors in sci-fi performing the lead roles. If anyone can act out larger-than-life roles in improbable situations while still maintaining an air of realism, it's these two. Like the Campbell Scott version, it's one of the most newbie-accessible Hamlets out there and is highly recommended.
And thus, we end our look at these 7 Hamlet productions. Next time, we will tally everything up and find out who the best of the best are. Here's a hint, Mel Gibson is not the best Hamlet. Until then, this has been Cassius.
And this has been Sharky.
Good night, ladies. Good night, sweet ladies. Good night.